it's Halloween. I guess everyone's entitled to one good scare.
Hey everyone, welcome to One Good Scare, the show where we usually explore our favorite horror movies. Today's a little different. We've had a couple of different episodes where we've deviated from the horror movie conversation. There are times where I'm super thankful for that because sometimes it's a pain in the ass, guys, to watch a movie for 2 hours, then to like break it down for another hour. By the time I get to an episode, I'm like, I've watched the movie 4 times. This is not that, and I'm so thankful. So in the studio, at distance, I have a super special guest, Ashley. She's the host of the absolutely terrific Ghost Gossip podcast. If you haven't listened to it yet, I don't know what to tell you except that you're missing out and you need to really like put it on your playlist. Go and just follow, like, subscribe, do all the good things and throw it on there. She's with us today. We are not talking horror movies, but we are talking creepy shit. So that is the goal. Ashley, thank you for being with me through my technical difficulties at the start of this. Introduce yourself to our listeners.
Hi, Will. I am so glad that it's not my show today because I understand the technical differences, you know what I mean? I can't even talk. I'm just glad it's on your end today, not mine. Mm-hmm. Well, my name is Ashley, everybody. I am the host of the Ghost Gossip podcast, and where I talk everything paranormal, haunted history, and everything in between. And just a fun fact, I do not watch any horror movies or anything.
Interesting. All right. So I had an initial first question, but now I'm going to change that. And that'll become the second question.
Okay.
So any reason in particular? Do you not like horror movies? Do they just...
So when I was younger, I didn't realize then. I have a very vivid memory and imagination. Mm-hmm. Very. And when I was younger, if I watched something that would scare me, if I close my eyes, it's like I can relive it. I'll see it. It's one of those things, once you see, you can't unsee. And there's certain, sometimes with horror movies, they're so graphic and it's like, it's almost disturbing. Like somebody thought of that and then created it. And then I also worked for the federal government for 15 years and I saw some really horrible things in my position. And it's one of those things like, I'd rather deal with puppies and rainbows and pretend like bad things don't happen and then talk about death and haunted houses, which doesn't make any sense. I know that.
It kind of does though. My wife and daughter are the same way. My wife sort of begrudgingly will watch a horror movie, but it's got to be a very specific type of movie. Low gore, jump scares don't bother her too much, but excessive gore, which I don't love anyway, that sort of sticks with her and it lingers. So we tend to opt for like psychological thrillers, that kind of thing. Yeah. My daughter, on the other hand, is completely sensitive to anything that freaks her out. So, when she was a kid, we used to watch A Nightmare Before Christmas during Christmas season, Coraline, those kinds of things. And even now, almost 18, she struggles with her imagination and having the, the sort of vivid imagery. So it makes sense. I get it. I am the complete opposite. I love this stuff. Like I was traumatized so early on as a kid with like spooky stories and, watching The Exorcist at 9 years old by myself that I'm just like, I went the other way where it's like, give me horror movies. And so it's a yin and yang with me and my wife. Right. I tend to, throw a horror movie on while I'm doing work in the background as background noise, that kind of thing. But I respect it. I think it really shows that you can love spooky stuff and still draw a line where you're most or least comfortable, right? And so I respect it, even as a horror movie show, guys, you love what you love and you like what you like, and there's room at the table for everybody in this space. So
that's right.
That's awesome. Ashley, a second question. So my first question is going to be my third question. Damn. I'm terrible at this.
No, you're great. You're doing great. I feel right at home.
So it's sort of question 1A. That's how I'll get around it. Question 1A. Do you enjoy spooky books, horror books, or is the vivid imagery there equally as disconcerting?
It is equal there because while I read a horror book or a thriller, I am watching it in my head almost.
Sure.
And so horror books, especially if they're graphic, I will not read. But thriller, I will. As long as
Okay.
it's not, it's the horror, it's the graphic that I start imagining, and it just makes me upset. So I
It's
and I have
That's
anxiety too.
fair. That's fair. And I'm probably gonna alienate a whole bunch of people that maybe listen to the show, but
Oh
I'm
no.
finding that there's increasingly less time to read now in my life than there was even 5 years, even 3 years ago.
I
There's
agree
just
with that.
so much to do and so much that fills the time in the day that even on my best days where I'm like, "I wanna read this. Oh, man, this is this new book." I'm like, "Yeah, but I'm
Mhm.
not gonna get to it for 9 months or a year or longer." So, I respect it on both sides. Alright, so I have a first question, a real first question.
Okay.
This was the question I wanted to introduce at the start, guys. I'm behind. So, if you haven't listened to the most recent Red Treehouse episode, which is episode 221, well, at the time that you're hearing this, it will be not the most recent, but at the time of recording, episode 221, I gathered a bunch of sleep paralysis nightmare stories that folks, from all over submitted to me to narrate. Ashley sent in a story or two. And in that story, there was something that really piqued my interest, aside from the nightmare of the sleep paralysis itself. And it's that recently you won a psychic reading on Instagram, I guess as a giveaway.
Mhm.
And through that, it sort of opened up a new world to you.
Mhm.
So I want, and you also mentioned like living in a haunted house at some point. So
Mhm.
I want to
Yep.
sort of explore those two ideas. How did you come to the paranormal?
Well, I've always been sensitive to the paranormal. I started having experiences when I was a kid, but kind
Okay.
of just like, you have them and it's like, okay. And they were shared experiences with my parents. And so they never made me feel crazy. So it wasn't something that we didn't talk about it. The few that we had
Sure.
together, it happened and we were like, okay. And they didn't make a big deal out of it. So we moved on. It was one of those, it was just normal.
Sure.
And when I got older, I went through some stuff, marriage, divorce, stuff like that,
Mm.
single parent. And stuff started happening after I turned 30.
Okay.
But it was like stuff that I could explain away. You know what I mean? It was just like, meh,
Sure.
that's nothing. Well, then in 2022, well, it was December 2021, I made an offer on a house and didn't know it was haunted. I always was sensitive to energies, always sensitive
Okay.
to people. I can read people very well initially
Mm.
right out the gate. You walk up to me and I'm reading you. Like that's
Sure.
just the way it is. I can't turn it off. But I always thought that was just normal. Everybody could do that, you know? Yeah, I learned that now. And so when I walked into the house, it was, I describe it as the energy was indifferent. It wasn't
Oh,
positive. It
interesting.
wasn't negative. It was like stagnant. And my husband, who is at the time was skeptical to spirit and anything like that, he even said, this feels kind of weird. But I
Interesting.
wrote it off as the house sat vacant for 4 years. There was nobody living in the
Sure.
house. So, you know what happens when there's nothing there? You kind of get stale.
Sure.
Well, we bought the house and moved in. I'm a family of 5. It's me and my husband and our 3 kids. We're blended. They're all teenagers now, but at the time they were like 9, 9, and 10,
Hmm.
maybe something like that. And I quickly noticed that the energy became heavy, somewhat oppressive, and things started happening. Lights started coming on. I would hear footsteps, I would
Ah,
hear voices, and I was like, and then the big thing is I felt like I was being watched, especially when I was changing. Like I described to people, like your wife will probably know what I'm talking about. Husbands have this ability to just know when wives are changing. We take off a sock and the husband's like, do you need help? You know what I mean? So yeah, see, guilty
I'm
right
pleading the
there.
fifth. I'm pleading the fifth, fully guilty, completely aware, self-aware here.
So I would be in my closet. In my closet, we had like a master bedroom. He had his closet in the bedroom, and then we had a bathroom, and then my master closet was in the master bathroom.
Okay.
So our closets, we didn't share a closet. So I'd be in my closet changing and I would feel him present. I would
Oh,
turn around and he wasn't there.
it wasn't there.
So
Oh,
So I kept telling him, I'm like, Daniel, I feel like somebody's watching me. And he's just like, oh, Ashley, we're in a new house. You're just uncomfortable because we're in a new house. And I'm like, I'm not 10. You know what I mean? Like, I'm a
sure.
grown up. I'm very comfortable in my house. But it was that feeling that you just were never alone.
Mm.
And when, I was the only one at the time that realized, well, at the time I thought I was the only one having experiences. Nobody else was talking about it. I have 3 small children, and so they're just like covering their heads and pretending like it's not happening. I had no idea
Sure.
because they didn't want to tell me. And my husband's oblivious. So our youngest came downstairs one night, and at this time we had lived there probably 3, 4, 5 months, something like that. I didn't take notes at the time, so the timelines are sometimes blurred.
Sure.
So I had been dealing with it for a few months. She comes downstairs one morning and she looks like hell. Like she looks like she hadn't slept in days. And I'm like, what is wrong? And she was having behavioral issues and had gotten aggressive. And like she is I call her our enforcer of the 3. Like we have one who's a peacekeeper, one who's an instigator, and then she's our enforcer. Like she's not going to start stuff, but she's going to finish it,
Sure.
So, but she had gotten really aggressive to the point where she was being physical with our other 2. She was being mean. And then she walks downstairs and she looks like crap. And I'm like, baby, what is wrong? What is going on? And this was like before school one morning. And she goes, Ashley, I am seeing somebody in the loft. I'm seeing a man in the loft. And last night he was in my room and he was reaching for me. And she's like, I just always feel like I am never alone. And when she said that, I was like, shit. Like that was my confirmation that it wasn't just in my head, that I wasn't imagining this. So when I bought the house, I had tried saging the house, but I didn't know what I was doing. So I didn't open any windows or doors. I just lit something up and just, woohoo, just had a party with smoke in the house. Like, this is great. I'm doing something. And all I did was piss it off.
Sure.
So I called one of my friends and I told her what I did. And she's like, oh, no. You messed that up. You have made it mad. You've pretty much kicked up a bunch of dust and now you're aggravated it. So she came over. Do you want to hear the saging story?
I do. Because we've tried some sage for some stuff that we've experienced, and we've likewise not opened doors or windows. We've just blown smoke everywhere. So I'm super interested.
You just took a Pepsi bottle and shook it up real hard, and that's what you did. Yep. That's what I did too. Party over at our houses, right? So she came over. She said, have all the windows open. Thankfully, it was a night that our kids were with their other parents. So it was just me and my husband and her. So my husband, being the big, strong, brave man that he is, he went outside. Because he's like, this is your circus. Have fun. Yep. He went right outside and he sat outside and waited. So my friend comes in and we start in the basement and she lights the sage and she starts saying the prayer. And the moment she starts, I have a physical reaction. Like I am covered in these horrible chills, like horrible chills. And like it hurts. It physically hurts. And I've had goosebumps before, but nothing like this.
Sure.
And it felt like somebody was real mad at me in that moment. It was just like uncomfortable. So she starts saying it and I'm walking behind her and she's just saying the prayer over and over. And it's a ritual. So it's like chanting at this point.
Sure.
And at the time I was not woo-woo or whatever you want to call it. I was just a person with the house that really was having issues in the house. That's all I was. Yeah. And we start moving. And as we move, it feels a little bit lighter. And it's like, okay, maybe this is working. We finish the basement. We walk upstairs. We go in the master. She does my closet a few times since that's where I'm feeling it the most. Mm-hmm. And that closet light had come on once. And so she's in the closet. She comes through. We do the office, dining room, living room, sunroom. Sunroom is also where the light was coming on a lot. So she did that a little bit more. And then we moved into the kitchen. We get into the kitchen and the sage burns out. Just
stops.
And she's like, huh. So I'm standing there. I'm like, is that normal? She's like, let me just get
No.
this relit. Let me just, because we didn't have any issues. We were having no issues, and then it just went.
Yeah.
So where we're standing was middle of the kitchen, and I will make this note now. We were underneath a smoke detector because, of course, we were in the kitchen. She gets it relit, and as she got it relit, I feel like I start to choke. I cannot swallow. I cannot breathe. I feel like I am having an allergic reaction, that my throat has closed up, and I am like, and I'm looking at her, probably terrified, and she whispered, "You have to keep going." And just
that's wild.
My body, those chills filled my body again. I was hurting so bad, and I was like terrified, of course, because like all of a sudden I cannot breathe. And then as I'm able to take a breath, the smoke detector in his old bedroom, not in the kitchen, upstairs on a different part of the house, the smoke detector starts to scream. And she looks at me and she goes, "Where is that?" I went, "That's the old owner's bedroom." So, so she looked at me. My husband, I look out the window. My husband's sitting on a bench looking at the house because he hears the smoke detector going off. And he told me later, what? He's thinking, what are they doing? What in the world are they doing? If you've ever saged, you know that it's not billowing smoke, you know?
Right.
So we go upstairs. We get the smoke detector to turn off. She does the upstairs twice, and it feels better. We're like, okay. Feels nice. Feels good for a moment. Then what I found out later, I was talking to the neighbor. My neighbors I have never met neighbors like them. I've lived in so many different houses as an adult. These were the only neighbors I've ever met. They came out of their houses to meet me when I moved in, because turns out this house was only owned by one guy the entire time. It was built in 1999, and I bought it in 2022. January 2022 is when we closed. And they wanted to tell me about him. They were like, this guy hated women. Yes. He hated women. He was never married. Well, he was married, but they got it annulled. Like, they were telling me, I've known more about this guy than I know about some people in my family, you know? And they said, "Did you know that he died in the kitchen?"
That was my like, as you were talking, that was my question, was where did this guy die in the house? Because there's no way he didn't.
He died in the kitchen of anaphylaxis.
Where the sage went out. Oh, wait, what? Come back now. He died of... Guys, I wish you could see my face on the video, because...
What I was experiencing was what he died from.
It's rare that I'm speechless for shit. It's rare that words escape me.
I love,
and I don't know what to say.
I did not find that out until later. It was like probably a month or so later when I found out, because it was summertime and I was outside, and I'm not going to say his name, but my little neighbor, he got a back brace and his little cane. And every time he saw me, I had to come and say hi and talk to us. And he said to me, "You know, if anything ever happens in that house that is a little weird, it's probably this guy, because he loved that house and I don't see him ever leaving." And I was like,
"That's weird.
Funny you say that." I'm like, "Where did he die in there?" And he goes, "You didn't know?" And I'm like, "I do now." And I was like, "Where did he die?" I already knew. When he told me that, I was like, I already knew. And he's like, he died in the kitchen. So he had some kind of medical procedure and did not respond well to the anesthesia. And so they had given him medicine to try to combat that. And he was allergic.
So dude lived, died, and stayed. That was his...
It was everything. He worked in the house. He ran a business out of the basement.
Wow.
Yes, this was his whole world.
That's
he's mad
wild.
at me. Oh, he's mad at me. Yeah, he hates when I tell this story. Yeah, he hates when I tell this story. So what I realized while I was dealing with this house is I'm a lot more sensitive than I realized.
Sure.
I did not realize that I just thought I'm just intuitive. Everybody's intuitive.
Sure.
Everybody can pick up people's emotions and energies before they even know. Like everybody, so that leads to, I started this podcast because I needed to talk about this. I was
Sure.
so overwhelmed with living in a house that literally had a personality and hated me. It was like I was living with like an enemy, you know, like I was not wanted. I was living in a house where I was not wanted. He was affecting my dreams. He was affecting my sleep. He was affecting my personality. He was affecting my health. Like I had no clue. And I was trying to get him out because that's what I had been programmed to do. If you have something in your house, you cleanse, you bless it, you get it out.
Sure.
So I was talking, when I started the podcast, I was on somebody else's podcast. Gosh, I can't even remember the name of it. It's like, of course, I'm drawing a blank. Wonderful guy. His name's Noah Daniels. He is the host. And Real Hauntings, maybe. He and I were talking, and then there was another guy on there. His name is Josh, and he also he's a social media person. And he was talking to me. He goes, Ashley, you're clairsentient. And I was like, what's that? He's like, it's a clair, and you can pick up on energies. And I was like, oh. Never heard of that before. So as I went on with the podcast and I learned things, I came across a psychic medium out of Canada, and she was running a contest for a psychic reading, and I won it.
Okay. So I feel like I have to say off the bat, I believe you.
I would hope so.
Because because I believe in this stuff for sure, but also because there seems to be some similarities between your intuition and sensitivity and my wife's. Now, it's funny because my wife sometimes would say the same thing. Like, I just thought this was kind of normal. Like most people were intuitive, and I always laugh a little because I've learned the hard way that most people aren't even like self-aware enough. Forget about like
That's true.
intuitive about other people, you know? And so I think I'm intuitive up to a point, right? To where I think I'm intuitive to a point where I get a read on people, maybe on situations, but I am completely not intuitive when it comes to energies in a space, if that makes sense. So like I can read a person fairly well, but as far as everything else going on that's unseen, I just either haven't tapped into that part of it or just don't have it. And my wife is the complete opposite. She can look at someone and be like, we need to stay away from that person, or you know, let's try and like bring that person in. And usually that's pretty fluid. Like sometimes it's bring them in and then, whoa, wait a minute, I was wrong. Or they revealed a little bit more and now it's time to, pull back. But she can also read a room. Like the energy in this room feels weird. And I'm like, I think it might be the AC, or maybe we need to turn the heat down, or it's just completely a completely different thing. So my wife also has, I don't know if they're like physical manifestations or she experiences physical manifestations of things, but there have been times where in the current house that we live in, which we fully believe is haunted, has said, hey, she'll call me from downstairs. I'm downstairs, she's upstairs. Hey, were you just up here? No, I'm in the kitchen or I'm in the living room or wherever it is. She's like, but I just heard your voice, like, or someone just whispered to me, and I'm like, so like I'm thinking we have a Frogger, like we have someone living in the house in the attic, like, and so I'll go and check the rooms, like, because like that's what my brain does, like someone's fucking in here, we need to get him out.
Let's explain
Except
it
there's
away.
No one there. Yeah, of course. And so there's the believer side of me is like sometimes in theory, and then when faced with it, instant denial. Like it's got to be something else. It can't possibly be a spectral voice or something disembodied. Like it can't possibly be that. It has to be something else. So I'm working on it, guys. I'm doing my best.
My husband is the same way. He is a professional, logical explainer aware. I believe her.
I appreciate it. I do. Tell him I appreciate him a ton.
He's gonna be like,
You know.
"See, I'm not the only one." No.
Uh-huh.
Oh yeah, he was
It's a
telling me
thing.
the lights coming on were bugs
Oh,
because we had motion lights in the room in his
yeah.
closet, and the light would just come on like in the middle of the night or at 3 a.m. And he's like, "Ashley, it's just a bug. Ashley, it's just a bug." I'm like, "That's a big bug, Daniel."
I would probably say something similar, like, "Oh, don't worry," because I think part of me is also like, I don't want to raise alarm. It's alarming
Yeah.
in and
Yeah,
of
it
itself,
is.
but then it's like, okay, how do we mitigate that alarm and like lower the temperature a little bit? But sometimes things are they're just weird and they're just
Mhm.
unexplainable, right? And it's not because what's interesting is that I've had my own experiences where I've seen things or I've heard things or felt things, knew for sure that what I saw was what I saw, what I heard was what I heard. But still, in the end, I'm like, maybe I just need sleep. Maybe I'm sleep deprived. Maybe I didn't have enough to eat for dinner and I need a snack. Maybe I'm dehydrated. Like you go through this like cycle of things to try and
I
explain
know.
it.
I know.
And at the end of the day, it just is what it is.
Yeah,
So
it is.
yeah, that's wild.
Yeah,
It
it is. It's
when
crazy.
you were making the connection between you feeling that sort of anaphylactic response in your own body and then the connection to how the guy died. Even now I still have and I'm like wearing a jacket because it's freezing outside and I still feel the goosebumps under the
Mhm.
sleeves of my jacket just sort of sitting
Yeah.
there.
Yeah,
So
so the thing with my house ghost, which we have moved since, so we don't live there anymore. We did not move because it was
okay.
haunted, because I didn't mind it. We actually moved because of the school situation with our kids,
Okay.
and I told him, "You can come visit, but you can't," because I mean, we lived there for 2.5 years, and I owned the house
Sure.
for almost 3. And so, like, by the time we left, our relationship, this sounds crazy. I talk about him like he's here. Our
Sure.
relationship was different. We had gotten to a place where he was like just a grumpy grandpa upstairs, but we all loved him. The kids loved him because we got to a point where we
Sure.
coexisted together.
Sure.
And I gave him his own bedroom, and that really settled him down when I stopped trying to
Okay.
force him out and just like, "Here, you can stay here, but stop messing with us.
Sure.
Stop upsetting my sleep. Stop harassing my kids. Stop turning the light." Now, he didn't stop messing with the lights. That, Lord have mercy, he did not stop doing that. He was almost like a pest. He'd be like, "On, off, on, off, on, off, off." I'm like, "Stop it."
I think that would scare me more than 90% of things. So what's interesting, about a year ago, around this time a year ago, I had Courtney Reese from Jaunty Haunts on an episode, and we talked about my haunted house and all that, and that was part of her maybe guidance to me was there are some cases where you need to like push them out, and then there are some cases where you need to learn to coexist, and that was not what I wanted to hear. I wanted to hear, how do I get this thing the hell out of my space? Because like
Right.
as
That's your
much as I
home.
love this, yeah, it is, and it the way I felt after seeing or hearing things just
It was
super
oppressive.
uncomfortable. Like there's not much that really scares me, but I found myself being fearful of walking into dark spaces in the house and looking over my shoulder, or even at times. And guys, I'm in my 40s, okay, so running up the stairs at 40 years old sounds ridiculous, but there's a part of this that's just that's hard to like quantify unless you've ever felt it. If you've never felt
Mhm.
it, you would look at me and hear me and say, what's wrong with that guy? But for me, it's like, hey, I can't describe the feeling of like something over my shoulder and trying to get
Mhm.
away from it as fast as I can. And so for her, it was like, well, you've got to figure out maybe a way to coexist. And so I did begrudgingly take her advice, which was like, hey, so we feel like we have two entities in the house. One
Yeah.
feels like a little child, maybe a 7 or 8-year-old boy. We call him Henry, kind of playful. We see him around corners. We usually see him out of the corner of our eye. He stands in corners as we turn corners, that kind of thing. And he
Come on,
doesn't ever
Henry.
do
Please get
anything.
out of the corner.
Yeah, yeah. So we did that. We walked through and we were like, hey, dude, like you're cool to be here. You don't bother us. But like you can't spook us when we're coming out of the kitchen and I see you hanging out like in the corner of the dining room. Like, please stop doing that. Like that's weird.
That's
And
just creepy, bruh.
yeah, it is. And And every now and again, he would do it, and we would talk to him. Please stop. Please don't do that.
Mhm.
So that has slowed down. But then there's this other thing, and this other thing is darker. And the other thing is what scares us. It's the thing that when I'm washing dishes in the kitchen, I feel, and sometimes I know this sounds wild. I have seen like a shadow come over the space that I'm washing dishes at. And there are times where I'll give you a quick story. So
Okay.
about 8 or 9 months ago, was standing in the kitchen. The dining room entryway moves into the dining room, and or the kitchen entry moves into the dining room. In the dining room, through that entryway, we have a table. I had folded some laundry, and it was stacked on the table, folded. And I was coming out. I'm always the last one to go to bed at night. Lock up, put the dogs, to bed, that kind of thing. Make sure everybody's okay. And as I'm coming out of the kitchen into the dining room, I look past where the laundry is stacked, and I see peeking over just this head, like from this view only. So I only see eyes, forehead, and then it sort of fades into the darkness of the room. And at first I thought it was Henry, because that's the kind of shit he would do, to hiding in corners. But Henry hides in corners. Henry doesn't stand out in the open. And
Mhm.
the feeling that accompanied me seeing this thing wasn't like annoyance or like, dude, get out of the way. It was more like, holy shit, I need to leave now. Like I felt that immediate urgency to run up the stairs with the lights on. I didn't come back down. I woke up with the lights on still. And so like that's the most recent thing that's happened. We hear strange footsteps upstairs, like someone stomping in heavy boots. We
Do
hear
you live near a
knocking on.
battlefield?
So yes and yes and yes. So the house that we live in is super old. It was originally built in the Civil War era.
Uh-huh.
It
I was
was
gonna say that is
remodeled.
a Civil War
Yeah.
soldier in your dining room.
Listen, we have come to realize some wild things about just this area we live in. And turn of the century, 21st of the 20th century, house was remodeled again in the 50s, again right at the turn of the millennium, and then most recently like 10 years ago. So the house has undergone a massive amount of changes since it was built.
Mhm.
But the area surrounding it, the school, the elementary school my youngest son went to, is 220 years old. It was actually around during like post-revolutionary times.
Yeah.
One room schoolhouse kind of thing is still standing. So the area has a ton of history, ton of war history, right? Get this. About a year ago, maybe a little more than that, maybe about a year and a half ago, I was messing around on Google Maps. I don't know why. Just had this like, I want to see what's around us. Saw a little cemetery icon um,
I was about
adjacent to our property, right? And so I'm like, but that's in the field, like no more than 150 feet from our back door. Like, what the hell? Where is that? So I tell my boys, guess what we're doing tonight, guys? We're going ghost hunting, graveyard hunting. And they look at me like, what's wrong with you? And I was like, look at this thing. This is icon. Something's there. So we jump the fence into a farm like a field, to a
uh-huh.
farm that doesn't belong to us. And
Oh,
maybe
trespassing.
20,
Awesome.
say that again.
Trespassing. Let's go,
Oh,
guys.
and my boys were like gung ho about it. And I'm sitting there like, but what are we going to find? So we jumped the fence, not 20 feet over that fence line. There's a tree. We've noticed that tree since we moved in. Underneath that tiny tree are 3 gravestones. It's a family. And one of the gravestones is for that of a young boy, 8 or 9 years old. We can't see the name. The names have been rubbed out of the marker. But 90% sure, guys, that Henry is the
Henry.
child that's buried on the property next to us. And maybe one of the other gravestones or graves is that of the darker entity that likes to scare the hell out of us. So, yeah.
I knew. I was about to say, this guy lives near a cemetery. The
Yep.
feeling that I got was Civil War soldier,
Yep.
battlefield.
Yep.
I also get this voice in my head that says disturbed grave. So that's what was coming through before you said there's a cemetery
Okay.
near you. But so I don't think, now I'm not a professional, I'm just learning, but I
Sure.
don't think the negative thing in your house is connected to those. I think that
Okay.
he was buried probably nearby and his grave was disturbed. That's the feeling that I get. I could be completely wrong, but my gut, that's what I'm hearing. Now, I've been spot on this week. I will say I've been really good this week, but I'm hearing disturbed grave. And that could explain why he's so crotchety and angry and he's presenting like he's mad. I mean, of course, when graves are disturbed, I mean, they can't rest.
Sure. Now, here's the thing, right? Our house sort of is, we don't have neighbors. We have neighbors that we can
I was going to say,
see their
jealous.
houses. Yeah. So we're building a house right now and we're moving in the next couple of months. And that's the one thing we're lamenting is like, we love people, but damn, we have to live near people.
Yeah. It's overrated.
I digress, guys. But so like our house currently sits by itself. Around us is, when I say acreage of farmland, I mean maybe 100, 150 acres
Mhm.
surrounding us on three sides.
Oh,
Our
that's
closest
nice.
neighbor, our driveways sort of come out at the same point, but our closest neighbor is probably more than a quarter mile away. I mean, maybe a half mile away in either
Mhm.
distance, either direction. And so it could be that there are no doubt, considering the history of the land in the area, that there probably are graves around there that may have
Mhm.
even been disturbed by
Yeah.
something as simple as farming, right? Just
Yeah.
farmers tilling the soil and planting crops and corn and that
Well,
kind of thing.
during the war, they didn't do individualized graves. They didn't. I
Right.
mean,
Oh,
they
mass
they
graves.
they would just do mass graves, and I mean, they would bury them pretty much where they were. So if you just, especially if you're in the area where I'm thinking you are, like that is, it had a really rough, a lot of life, a lot of death, a
Yeah.
lot of pain, a lot of sorrow. And then depending on, like, I mean, it doesn't even mean that you disturbed it, but if it was disturbed somewhere around you, and then that's where he's kind of manifested, and you just never know. You just never know. But that's kind of the feeling that I got just when you said peeking up over the laundry. I'm like, that is a
Uh-huh.
soldier. He is, it's almost like he's in a foxhole. He is coming
Oh,
out
that's
looking at you. Sorry. I'll
you guys
stop.
still can't see my face, but I'm having a moment. We're
Yeah.
having a whole
Well,
moment.
sorry.
Ooh.
Yeah. I mean, all you can really do is try to make peace with him. Let him know that you're not here to cause harm. Like,
Yeah. And we've done that somewhat. We've botched a sage saging as well, where we light it in the bedroom and it just sort of collects in the bedroom. It does nothing. There's no ventilation, so it
oh
just
boy.
smells like we're burning sage.
Yeah.
Um, but
A bunch
my
of
wife
hippies
is
live there.
I mean, it must be. And my wife has heard some weird things, like she'll be laying down in bed at night and she'll say, "Hey, someone just whispered my name in my ear," and
She's
it's like,
clairaudient.
"But wait, I'm like laying right here next to you." She's like, "Did you not just say something?" I'm like, "Listen, I sleep with my headphones on. I'm not saying anything." Um, yeah, wild stuff. Wild,
Mhm.
wild, wild stuff.
Did her
And
gifts
meanwhile,
enhance when she moved into this house?
say that again.
Did her gifts become like more enhanced when she started living in this house?
I would say they probably became more frequently used since
And the
we've
more
been
you
here.
use them, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think she's noticed. Like there have been times where I'll walk into a room and I'll say, "Hey, are you okay?" Like she'll have this look on her face, and it doesn't quite fit what I see as like the mood or like what she's watching. She just sort of is like, you can tell something is bugging her. And I'll
Mhm.
say, "Hey, are you all right?" And she says, "Yeah, I'll talk about it later. There's something weird. Like I feel something
Mhm.
weird." And it's like I usually will like say, "Okay, well, when you let me know." and I'll like do a quick about face and leave the room
Mm-hmm.
because I'm like, I don't have that. My response is freaked out, whereas hers is intuitive. She's leaning into it. I'm trying to like back away slowly,
Yep.
So,
My husband's the same way. So I understand. He comes in and he can tell if I'm picking up something. He'll it's a visual
mhm.
reaction. Like I'll be talking and then I'll zone out and because I get premonitions and they hit me like freight trains sometimes. And I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
and he's like, what?
Yeah.
But
yeah.
When we were over there, it was
Ooh.
when you're living in it changed. Like I always say, it changes your brain chemistry when you're living in it. Because
Yeah.
in this house, I have spirits and stuff in this house, but they don't haunt, I guess,
Yeah.
is how I put that. They're just, I feel them, but nobody else does.
Yeah.
Whereas the other house, everybody knew. People would come in the house and be like, oh, okay. And I'm like, oh, it's fine. Oh, God. It was just,
It's amazing how like people living in the same space or sharing the same space can have such vastly different, even opposite reactions to things, right?
mhm,
And not even realize it, Like,
mhm.
I guess it's almost like raising kids. Like my wife and I laugh all the time that our three are so different. They grew up in the same home, same parents,
Yeah.
and yet they're so
Yep.
dramatically different from one another, you know? Um,
Mhm.
uh, all right. So, Sheesh. I'm
Okay.
like super, super, super intrigued. And there's also a part of me that, a not so small part of me that wants to learn if it's possible to develop the gift
Yes.
or to sort of grow into it in some ways.
Mhm.
Because there is a part of me that would wants to react and respond. I don't know if appropriately is the right word or just better. Like I want to respond better than I have
Mhm.
in the past,
Mhm.
Um, and also because, my wife is so sensitive to this stuff. Like there's also a part of me that wants to be able to join her in that and say,
Mhm.
hey, like, let's tackle this together versus you being super sensitive and me being like, well, that was a bug that turned on the, the
Yeah,
automatic light
that's
in
a
the,
bug.
the closet.
That's a
So,
big bug. Yeah.
oh Lord.
There is a way to develop it. You just have to be open to it. You also have to protect yourself because when you open yourself up, you are not only opening yourself up for positive, but also negative. And when
Sure.
you're
Sure.
open, and the thing is, I get the feeling that this thing freaks you out more than it freaks your wife out.
Oh yeah.
It knows. So when you show fear to these things, especially and I want to make clear, negative entities or energies are not demons. Demons
Sure.
are so specific. Demons are not crouched in your house, waiting to attack. They're really not.
Sure.
But negative energies can be, and they can feel really heavy. But between that and a demon, they're very different things that you're dealing with.
Sure.
But if they know that they scare you, they will target you because they know that they're getting that energy, that response from you that they need. So when you take power over it and say, nope, you're not going to do that, they back off. Now,
Yeah.
you might go round and round and round like you have an unruly toddler,
Uh-huh.
but it's one of those things. You keep setting that boundary, you keep reinforcing it. Like I cleanse on a regular basis. I
Sure.
set my boundaries. Like they're not allowed. They're allowed in here. So stuff happens in here, but they're not allowed in my bedroom. They're not allowed in my bathroom. I have had to make
Sure.
that clear. Do not watch me while I shower. But yeah, like it's one of those things. Like I'm open to it, so I understand that. And because of what I talk about, I'm going
Sure.
to attract certain things, but these are my boundaries. You
That's fair.
respect them or you leave.
All right. So to be continued on that front. Now, again, we are moving. And so, but
And you tell it,
I,
stay at this house. You say, you
that's what
stay
I'm
here.
thinking. Like, you
Yes.
belong here, stay here. Please leave us alone. Of course, I suppose they don't have to listen if they don't want to listen. But
He just said, in my mind, I just heard, don't worry. He's not coming with you.
okay, good. Because it could be, don't worry, like you're fucked. Like I'm
No.
coming
It's
and
more
there's
like,
nothing
I'm
you can
not
do.
coming with you. I'm not coming with you. This is where, yeah.
Perfect.
He likes
Perfect.
your wife though. So she needs to make sure she tells him you cannot come. So
You
she
stay,
needs to
yeah.
set that boundary too.
I will let her know. Hey, listen, we're not taking anyone or anything extra to the new house.
Nope, they stay there.
Well, I'm super intrigued. So to be continued. We still have a couple months left before we head out, and it's been a wild ride. We've been here almost 5 years, so it's been a wild ride in that time.
Yeah.
With just the things that we've felt, experienced, discovered, learned, all this stuff. Ashley, so when it comes to hosting a show, right?
Mhm.
There's a lot of what I love sort of talking about briefly is we all occupy sort of a similar space, right? In the paranormal, supernatural world, podcasting world, storytelling, history, that kind of thing. For someone who wants to start a show, right? Because I hear it all the time. I see it on social media, especially thinking about starting a show in the new year, just storytelling. And is there a nugget of wisdom advice that you would give to someone who wants to start a show? What is the one thing that you would absolutely tell them to prioritize or not
Audio.
prioritize? Okay.
People will forgive bad visual. They will forgive if you misspeak or if you have an off day or the story isn't great one time. People will forgive a lot of that, but bad audio and a lot of mouth noises, usually they will not forgive.
Oh, listen. I've said it so many times. The mouth noises, guys.
Into
Oh
the
my
microphone.
gosh. Listen, there has never been a time where I've been more like aware of how gross the human mouth is than when I'm trying to record crisply. Like,
ooh,
it's so funky. Like,
and I have that thing, that mouth noise thing that, in your brain, and it's like, it makes you cringe. I have that.
Yeah.
And so.
Oh, I get it.
Now I have a microphone.
I have learned with the Red Tree House now, 200 plus episodes in, that I have to edit as I record. Because if I try to do it all at the end, after a 30-minute, 40-minute, hour-long episode, it will take me hours to get it all out. So it's because like I can hear the mouth noises in my headphones, which is just the worst. I will stop and go back and re-record it so that it's not there. And then I'll noise reduce it so that anything that like is a stray gets, taken away. But guys, the mouth noises, and when I hear a show, I'm like, oh no, they're like squelching and clicking, and like I can't do it. Can't do it, guys.
I have a show that I love. I love the host. I think she's wonderful. I have a hard time listening because of the mouth noises. And her content's great, but I'm like, I know I have mental problems. Okay. I know that mouth noises bother me more than they bother some other people. And I get that. And I accept that about me. But
I get it. This is part of why I use background music when I tell a story, because background music, it covers a multitude of sins.
It does.
Mouth noises. So
it does. That's why I use it on my TikToks and stuff when I tell the history of certain places, because that kind of helps forgive. Because I mean, I'm using like, a $20 mic for my phone or whatever.
Right.
But yeah, good audio. If you're committed to doing a podcast, it's one of those things. Anybody can buy a microphone. Okay. Anybody can start a podcast. What sets the others apart, that you're dedicated to it and you do your research, and you don't need the most expensive stuff. You really don't. Amazon sells bundles and the stuff is decent. Yeah. But good sound matters.
That's good. I think some folks hear quality audio and they automatically attribute that to or equal that to expensive, right? And podcasting can be really expensive.
You got that right.
You want it to be. It can be as expensive as you want it to be. But you don't need to buy a $500 mic.
No.
You just need to buy a decent mic if you can, and be mindful of the way you record. And then go back and listen to it as raw audio, not with any background noise, just with your own, which is super uncomfortable, guys. The worst thing in the world is listening to myself talk after I've recorded. But it is helpful to catch those little things that otherwise
Do
would slip through
people
that.
edit? Or
Yeah.
people do podcasts and not listen to them before they post them?
Yeah. So I won't say names, but I've interviewed folks who they record in one shot. So they record it, they do the post work, and then they publish. And you have everything from like sirens in the background to chairs squeaking to bangs on the desk because I talk with my hands, and so I have to be careful with that. And then you have folks who will sneeze into the microphone.
Oh my
They don't
God.
edit that stuff. So like there are shows where what you hear is exactly what they've recorded in all its glory.
Oh my
And
God.
it is a little more difficult as a listener and as a host, right? Because we're sort of, when you're listening to someone's show, you're a listener, but you also host, and you're like, "What? I wouldn't do that. Why would they do that?" So there is
Mhm.
some judgment there. I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm not
It's
sorry. I'm not sorry at all. No,
it's
no.
part of it. So self-awareness, guys, goes a long way in a lot of things, and
Mhm.
I would say that that's important.
Yeah, and if
Actually,
you're
thank
looking
you.
to get rich from
This has been great.
podcasting,
Oh God, listen.
you're in the wrong field, people.
For sure. If you're looking for a side hustle that's going to bring you a profit quickly, definitely go refurnish furniture or like refinish furniture.
That's right.
Go do something else because there's a massive deficit month to month, especially early on when you start out
Uh-huh.
with no listeners and just one episode or 5 episodes where
I'm
you've
years
put
in.
sunk. Yeah. Yeah. It's
Mhm.
it's wild, guys. The mic, the software, the computer, right? Cameras, if
Mhm.
you're going to do video, headphones so that you can hear yourself. Even if you buy inexpensive stuff, you're still in the red at the end of the
Yeah.
day, right? And then
Yeah.
you usually are paying for hosting and
Yep.
all these things, right? If you do social media and you boost posts to sort of gain visibility, right? Before you know it, you could be $1,000 or more in the
Mhm.
red.
Yep.
And I will tell you that, you know, ads, you need a ton of ad plays and a
I don't
ton
have
of
any
listens
ads.
to
I don't
begin.
have I need to figure out ads. I don't have any.
It's it's a blessing and a curse.
Yeah.
So like it's great because it helps offset a little bit of what you put out, you know.
Mhm.
But it's a curse because inevitably by the time you start running ads, the reviews for your show aren't about your show. They're about
About
the
the ad.
ads, right?
Yeah.
Oh, like the ad cut off the story and it took me out of the mood or it played too late in my headphones at night. And
Aw.
it's like, but we can't control ad volume. And we definitely can't control when you listen. So if you go to bed at 1 and you're listening at 1 and at 1:30 an ad wakes you up from sleep, like that's not the creator's fault for
Oh my
you being
gosh.
jolted out of your sleep because you chose
Oh.
to listen to that anyway. So I'm ranting, but it's a blessing and a curse, you know. So yeah, if you're looking to get rich quick or a profitable side hustle, podcasting is not
It's
it.
we do it because
And
we love it. We don't do it
yeah,
because we wealthy.
yeah, it's the truth. For every morbid or crime junkie or,
Yep.
last podcast on the left, there's 5,000 of us, 10,000 of us who are recording in makeshift spaces with doing the best we can because exactly. We love the content, we love the genre that we're in.
Mhm.
And I say that to say this too. If you're starting a show and you don't know where to begin, reach out to the community. Ask for advice. Ask people what works for them, what has helped them. I've never run into an instance where someone was like, F you, like, don't come
Right.
to me. Everybody I've
Right.
talked to has been super helpful. And
Right.
so it's a great community to be a part of if you want community building. If not, then
Mhm. Well,
I
I
don't know
did
what to do
this on
for you.
my own for a long time because I've been doing
Yeah,
this going on 4 years. And I'm relatively small because for the first 2.5, 3 years, I worked for the Fed. So I couldn't put my face on it. I couldn't
sure.
push it. So I had 13 listeners. And I was like, hey,
Yeah.
it's my mom. And I got 12 other listeners other than my mama.
Yep.
Hey, look at me.
I
And so
I
now
remember
I
those days.
Yes. So now I can push it out because now I don't have that overhang of the man saying, you're not allowed to do this.
Right.
And I have grown over this past year because last August is when I left my job. So I have been able to really commit, and it makes a huge difference, but you
Yeah.
have to commit to it to grow.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the stats they change all the time, but there's something like, what is it? Like 80% of podcasts don't make it to episode 10, or 90% of shows don't make it to the 10th
Hmm.
episode. And
Hmm.
of those that do, another like significant chunk don't make it to 25, and even fewer get to 100, right?
Yep.
And so
Yep.
life happens. Life is life. It's gonna keep doing its thing regardless of what you have going on. But I think also it's important to sort of know your boundaries, know your limits. And if at the time that you start, if you promise an episode a week but you can't deliver that, then I think you set yourself back right
Hmm.
even before you hit the ground running. So
That's
there's a
right.
lot of little tips and tricks that we've mostly learned the hard way. Like,
Yes.
you know,
Yes. I have learned the hard way.
it's sometimes better to undersell and over deliver than the opposite when it comes to this.
That's what I
You
do.
know,
If you look at my Apple or Spotify, it says biweekly.
yeah,
And that's all I could do. And when I was working, I could barely do that. And so now I'm
yeah,
every week, but I still haven't changed that because I have 3 teenagers,
yeah,
in the
yep,
instance that something happens, I promise biweekly.
yeah. I remember when I was getting to the end of year 2 of the show, I said, "Well, I'm gonna go from a twice a week, release schedule to once a week." And, I did that for the first maybe month after episode 200, and I thought, "I'm kinda bored. I think I need to do the twice a week as much as I can." And so, most weeks I release twice a week now, even though technically I said I'm only doing it
That's a
once.
lot.
It there's a rhythm to it that you get, and it's like,
Ooh. Mm.
you know,
Yeah.
the thing for
I'm
me
in
is
my
that
rhythm now, but twice a week, I think I would like, ugh.
I think what the biggest struggle has been is that my normal talking voice is an octave higher than my narrating voice. So it's like if if I'm going to narrate an episode, I usually drop a little bit.
Yeah.
Usually a little more gravelly, maybe a little more deliberate in the things I say, how I say it, slightly slower cadence, right? Because I'm
Hmm.
trying to tell a spooky story and sort of
Right.
bring you that creepy feeling. But my voice doesn't always work that way. And so
How
then for
dare
days where I go to
you?
record, I'm like, what the fuck is happening in my throat right now? You know?
No, I get it
And
because
so,
my listener happenings episode, I read it in my storytelling voice, but my
mhm.
normal episodes, I am high pitched and excitable.
Yeah, yep, yep.
So,
It is
yeah, I
what
get
it
it.
is.
It is what it is.
So
Listen
you
if you
gotta know
want.
yourself, you gotta know your limits, you gotta know your sort of capabilities too. Um, all good stuff. And then just do it. There's so much
Yeah,
space at the table for creators and shows and talented folks who are passionate about the things they love.
that's
And
right.
I've never had anyone nudge us off, right, off a space or try to get elbow room. Everybody's just been super welcoming. So
Well, you're
do it.
lucky. I
Well,
have
I think
run into crap, but no.
so. I think like I'm super attuned to some of the social media like infighting that goes on between creators and shows. Like I've seen posts and like
Oh,
call out things, and I think, and I'll fully admit, I think there's a part of my experience that has been privileged as a male, where maybe there.
yeah.
So like I don't want to not acknowledge that me being a male coming into a space
Yeah.
oftentimes is easier to break ground in that space than others, right? And so um, I try to leverage that privilege with equity towards other people to say, hey, like the space is inclusive. Like if you have a question, please ask. Like,
Mhm.
and I'll get folks that send messages, podcaster to podcast, and it's like, hey, person to person, please ask what you want. Like I will always give you an honest answer. If it's helpful, I hope it is. If it's not, I'm going to do my best.
Right.
But I also realize that other folks have had different experiences and had to really claw and fight their way into the space, you know?
Yeah. I haven't had many bad experiences, but I have just in the paranormal community, not so much the podcast community, because the podcast community, 99.9% of them have been that welcoming and
Sure.
warm. But the paranormal community usually is the same way. But I've had instances where jealousy and hate, and like I'm just like living my best life,
Yeah.
clueless, but I have upset somebody and I didn't even realize it. And I'm like,
Yeah.
and then all of a sudden, you're getting hate from different places. And it's like, wait, what did I do? Like, and I'm the type,
It's
if
so
I've upset
strange.
you, tell me. If I've stepped
Yeah.
on your
Yep.
toes, tell me. But they won't. They'd rather just block
Yeah.
you and talk about you and then send
Yeah.
people in your orbit messages, not realizing that those people have screenshot capabilities
Right.
saying, "Hey, Ashley, what's going on?" I'm like, "Oh, dear God, what? I
Yeah.
haven't talked to those people in 9 months."
Yeah. The competitiveness is wild to me. Like I realize at its in the simplest sense, right? Like we're sort of competing for listenership, right? Like a
Yeah,
person can only listen to one show at a time. I get that. I have like 25 shows on rotation. So it's
I do
just
too.
it is what it is. Ashley, thank you so much for joining me. It's been a great conversation. I will keep you posted on how we exit this haunted house into a Lord willing, hopefully not haunted space, because right now that's the dream is to
Yeah, I get it.
just feel normal. But Ashley, where can they follow you? Where can folks follow you on the socials? Where can they follow you on the streaming platforms?
I am everywhere. I am everywhere. I will haunt you on every platform of your choosing: Facebook, Ghost Gossip Podcast; Instagram, Ghost Gossip Podcast; TikTok, Ghost Gossip Pod. And I'm on YouTube with video podcast at Ghost Gossip 24/7. And you can also email me, ghostgossip247@gmail.com.
Guys, follow, like, subscribe. Leave the 5-star reviews. I say this every single episode. The 5-star reviews, they say doesn't do anything for the algorithm.
They
I
lie.
call bullshit because the algorithm of my heart sings when we see 5-star reviews. So leave
That's right.
them. And if you have a 1-star review, sleep on it. And then when you wake up in the morning, just forget about it because
It doesn't do
1-star
anything.
reviews are super overrated anyway. So
That ruins your karma. Okay. That
it
ruins your
does.
karma. Don't
It
do
does.
that.
It does. And I always say, if you're not a creator and you're leaving a 1-star review, please create something and then put
That's
yourself in the
right.
shoes.
Mhm.
Walk a mile. All right. Ashley, thank you so much. Guys,
Thank you.
I don't take it for granted that you're listening to me and spending your time with us. Thank you so much. I will catch you next week on One Good Scare. Y'all take care.
Bye-bye.